This is Two Nerds and a Joke with Robert and Ernie.
Thanks, disembodied hot girl voice. This is Two Nerds and a Joke with Robert and Ernie. I'm Ernie.
And I'm Robert.
We got a guest.
I know it's too exciting. I tell you what,
He's right there.
I know you can see him too. Well, those of you watching on YouTube, which you should be watching on YouTube, you can see our guest. Yes, always follow us on YouTube. But we talk to ourselves so often that we finally decided to bring someone along for the ride. Today we have with us a very exciting guest, and I love his stuff. It's so, I'm just going to put it out there. It's beautiful. It's beautiful comics, very well drawn, and in a unique genre that I think is needing to have some more time in the comic book world. And Dwayne is with us, the owner of the comics we're going to talk about today. Dwayne, first off, exactly the name of the company and exactly the name of the comics, right? Because you got a collection now.
Yeah, we're getting up there. We got a lot of comics and comics that we have currently. So yes, hello everybody. My name is Dwayne Robinson. I am the owner of Animation Comics and Entertainment LLC. And our company is basically what it says in our name, but we knew when we first started that animation was going to be something that we would have to probably put in the back burner because, let's be honest, animation does cost a lot of money. But we are huge fans of comics, my brother more so than me. But so we knew that we had to start at the comics, and that's what we're doing now. We currently have two titles, Nightfall, Michael's Awakening, and Salvation, issue 0. We're currently working on Salvation issue 1 as we speak. Wow. And we're hoping that it can probably be done by the end of the month. Wow. We had a few setbacks that we had to handle personally, but now we're back on board with getting it done.
Well, let's talk about Nightfall first, because this is unique, and this is a very untouched market for comics, because you think comics, first thing you think of is superheroes.
Correct, yeah.
This is not that, but this is such an interesting concept. Talk to us a little bit about where this idea came from for this quote-unquote hero story. Quote unquote.
Well, originally the story, we wanted to do something that we kind of just wanted to get our names out there. So we agreed that we were going to do horror first. And so as I was trying to come up with some ideas for stories, this was around the time when Twilight just came out. And, it was such a big buzz. I just wanted to kind of give it a shot and see how, because the trailers, I was like, I'm not feeling it. But, give it a shot. It's better to see it for yourself than, see what from a trailer or whatnot.
Sure.
I learned that from Suicide Squad.
Nice.
But, yeah, so I saw it and I was just so disappointed. Oh, my God. Especially when it came to the werewolf, he turned into a huge giant chihuahua with fur. And I just was like, no, this is not, because at first I wanted to do vampires, because vampires are still very popular, more so than werewolves. But that was another reason why I wanted to do a werewolf story, was because they're not really the ones that are always as the main characters in movies. They're either the sub characters. You think of movies like Underworld. So I wanted to do a story like that, and I wanted to make it more urban. Mm-hmm. Where it's in present day, not so much in the past, or kind of like in the woods or whatnot like that, where they usually have stories with dealing with werewolf stories. So, but the unique thing about the story is that not only is it in present time, there's another world outside of the world that we all know. So that's what's the main key about the story. But the main story really is about the main character. His name is Michael Vash. Now, just to go back on the name.
Yes, please.
All anime fans, I don't know if you recognize the last name Vash.
I was going to say.
I'm a huge anime fan, and one of my favorite animes is actually Trigun. Main character, his name is Vash, the Stampede.
Okay, I was going to say, wait a minute, I know that name from somewhere. Yeah. Okay.
Right. So in the beginning of the story, that's exactly what you see There's tons of Easter eggs in my comic. I like to throw Easter eggs in the story just to make people go, oh, I recognize that. Oh, I know some things. So some things you might see, and then there are some things that you probably won't recognize. Some things are a little more personal with people that actually know me personally.
Oh,
But
nice.
like
so little shout outs to your fans and family and everything as well.
Exactly.
Nice. See, that's always nice to be able to do that.
Yeah, because I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for my friends and family. You know what I mean? They help mold my personality and become the man I am today, give me confidence and whatnot. So that's my way of saying thank you to everybody that, always looked out for me and, my friends and family.
Right. And you get a lot of inspiration for the story, like the human side of the story from your personal life, or is it all just completely
a little bit of both? I would say anytime when I'm creating female characters, I always try to make the characters more powerful, more human. I never was really a fan of just having the damsel in distress, type of female character. So I always tried to make them where they can hold their own and they're pretty much badass. And all of my characters, female wise, are pretty much they can hold their own. There's whether there's Tori, who is well, I don't want to really give away what they
don't
are.
give away too much, yeah. But
but
that's a challenge for. I mean, let's be honest, we're all guys here. It can be a challenge for a guy to write a realistic, strong female role, right? I mean, you have to have a long, strong women in your life to be able to kind of say, okay, I want it to be that person,
Right.
And you got to use that as kind of your template to a certain extent. So you want to make them three-dimensional. It's easy to have, oh, no, she's got a huge sword and she can, okay, that's fine, but that's not really what makes a human, a person, a strong character. It's really the dialogue, right?
Right.
So
yeah.
When you're coming
dialogue
up with
is very important, yeah.
Right. And so for you, where does that kind of that inspiration come from for you?
Well, I think the inspiration really starts from my mom, and it kind of works its way down from all the other females that I kind of grew up with over the years. My mom was a very educated woman. So the mother in the Nightfall story is very educated too, but she's also got her sassy side, very similar to my mom. And that's kind of what I kind of wanted to incorporate. But the main thing I wanted to incorporate before any of that was her love for her son. I wanted to show that she really is willing to sacrifice everything for her son. And that was basically, that's what you kind of are introduced right when you see her, is that she's a smart woman, but, she's going through some things when she first came into the town. And you realize that after that end of the issue that she really sacrificed a lot. And when you go into the second issue, it's even added on to it even more, when it goes back into the backstory of who Michael's mom is, Diana. And then it also introduces a few more new characters in issue 2.
Well, now, you do the art, you also done the story. Did you go to like any school or something? Tell me about how like you got into that. Like, were you always good at drawing, or did you have to practice on it? How did you get to this point? Like, give us the whole story behind that.
Practicing. I had a friend. My friend was really, really a great artist, but he never really thought that going to school he could make money off of doing it. But I didn't know he was. One day I just went to his house and he was just drawing something. I was like, "What are you doing? What is this? When you start doing this?" And he was like, "Oh man, I do it on the side." And I was like, "This is great. Like, you need to like start doing something with this." I guess that was the Capricorn side of me. But I was like, "Oh man, you gotta work on this. You gotta do something. You gotta add some color." And he was like, "Oh man, you got a lot of ideas." He's like, "Well, why don't you try to draw something?" And I was like, "I can't even draw a stick figure, brother." And so he broke it down really easily for me. And we started out as doing similar just faces, like how we're all standing right now, not full body, and really just making small details and adding it and adding. that was one thing that I really didn't really take in consideration is how time-consuming art truly is. I just thought, hey, you put it together, draw a circle, draw eyes, and then that's it. But so much more time involved. So that's what I had to really learn. And over the years, I just got better and better. And he still, even to this day, still, gives me a little hints of like, hey, man, you should add this. And I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't even see that. So it's always good to have him, my friend, helping me every now and again. But with the colors, though, I didn't do the colors. I had to hire someone who's now part of the company, my friend John Cruz, who helps with the coloring. So that's always good too. I really.
Oh, that was going to be my next question to you, was about that part. Like when you were layering all your art together, like the different disciplines. Like, did you realize, like, wow, there's a lot more to this than just the final product, right? Like
Absolutely.
all those things that you have to put into it.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the things that, but at that point, when it came to doing the comics, I was already prepared about that. It's just from the very beginning, when I first started doing this, that's when it was like, oh man, I didn't know you have to do so much. I didn't know about flattening and the pencils and inks and so many other things. But as I got ready to do the company, I was already prepared for that stuff. Just I never really been too really good with coloring. So I wanted to hire someone, and I wanted to make sure that if I hired someone, I wanted to make sure that they were actually willing to be a part of the company. Therefore, when we're ready to do another issue, I wouldn't have to go searching anywhere. I would already have my team to just get ready to go. And that's where we are right now, even though I still am looking to hire more artists and colors and things of that nature. So, we are a publishing company. I want to help publish other people's stories as well as my own.
That was going to be my next question, because there's a couple of different ways to go about building a company like this, right? Because now you have three things in your name. You said the animation is going to be on the back burner for later, but I also noticed that you have like the entertainment part looks to be kind of like reviews and things of that nature. Is that heavy? Is that kind of using it as an outlet for cross promotion, or is it a separate piece from the comic book itself? How does that fit in? Because the animation makes sense, but
yeah, I would say it's a little bit of both. I enjoy always kind to look at movies or video games, and when I'm with my friends, they always like, man, that was well thought. You should actually write a review. So, it started as that, and it kind of just grew into more of a, now that I have my company, why not show our opinions on things. But I am looking to actually probably maybe one day have a YouTube page where we have different things outside of just the comics and the animation spectrum, maybe like having a few skits, comedy skits and things of that nature, that actually dwells on the entertainment aspect. I'm a writer through and through along with my artwork. So, I've always wanted to do music too. So, that might add to that entertainment aspect. We just really want to cover all formats, really.
Nice.
And that's kind of what we're aiming for with ACE.
Nice. And that's kind of the cool concept, because you could then have kind of the structure in place that, let's say you get one of these stories, you two main stories right now, and you want to, okay, we have the comic, we're going to make an animated show or maybe an animated movie out of it. Okay, we have the ideas, you have the brainchild there. And the entertainment side, you can take that and say, okay, what if things happen and we make a live movie out of it, and you can kind of try triage that, and you have it all kind of set up and get that structure for each piece. But for right now, you're saying that the focus for you guys is really that comic book piece, getting that kind of organized. Are you building a universe? Is that your goal? Or are you building great stories that are singular in their focus? So they aren't connected, they're just good stories.
Well, I would say for the stories that we have right now, as I said before, we do have Easter eggs. Mm-hmm. And to give you an example, one of the Easter eggs that I have in the first issue of Nightfall, Michael's Awakening, is that Michael, the main character, and his girlfriend, they go to the movies. One of the movies that they're going to see is Salvation.
Okay.
In Salvation that they're actually going to see. The funny thing about it is that when they're in the movie, they're talking, and his girlfriend, Melissa, is like, "Wow, this is a good movie. Who told you about this?" And in the comic, in the beginning of the story, there's a football player. His nickname is Ace. And so he says, Ace told me that this was a good movie. So it all comes full circle. Nice. And honestly, that's what the Nightfall story truly is about. It's not a straightforward story. It's kind of where it seems like it's a little bit of slice of life type story where everything is just a normal kind of story, but then it kind of speeds up really fast when his mother tells him the truth of who he truly is. And it's in many different ways you see that. And you see it in the artwork because originally the whole story starts in black and white. But when you realize, or when he realizes, or you as a reader, as both really, start to see that this world is actually starting to truly open up to him, or for lack of better terms, it's starting to awaken. That's when it goes into color. And that's when the story really starts to pick up. And it gets really fast paced. You know what I mean? I think that kind of messes up with a lot of people because, the pacing seems like it's kind of sped up too much maybe, and then it kind of goes back down, but then it goes back up. But that's kind of what I wanted the story to be like. I didn't really want it to be straightforward. I wanted it to kind of be where there's certain scenes where you have to pay attention to everything. Because in the next issue that we have, you're going to be reading it and you're going to go, wait, what? Who's this? Who's this? And then if you go back to issue 1, you're like, oh my God, he was right there the whole time. So, these are things that the way how I perceive the story is, I would say it's more like puzzles, misplaced puzzles. And then when it all comes down, when it's all put together, then you can go back and then put the pieces together to make it, an actual finished puzzle. So that's kind of how I have that story to be. But the Salvation story is more straightforward. It's a lot longer, actually. There's a lot more volumes. There's a lot deeper stuff that's going on in that story. But it's definitely more action-based, too. So for those who want a little bit more action, opposed to just like the story kind of slow grinding and revealing what's going on, then I would say, Salvation is the one for you.
So when you're telling your story and you're mapping it out, and you're there like creating the panels, what goes through your mind when you're doing that part of the process?
I just want the panels to still flow very well. Like I want each panel to panel. I want it to flow, but like I said, I still wanted to have things where you kind of have like questions about it. That's why I leave certain things out. But when it comes to the panels, it still flows very well. It's just when you're done with the story as a whole, you might have a few questions. But I would say in issue 2, most of those questions are being answered, but you still are asked even more questions at the end of it. Which is what I think is it keeps you kind of interested, So when the third one comes out, like, oh man, I can't wait to see who this is and who did this and so on and so forth. So that's kind of what I always want to do. But when it comes to the panels, I always try to make sure that you understand what's going on, even without even seeing the dialogue, the lettering. So that was
that's what I was trying to wonder, because the way you were, especially because you say that you write and draw. So how do you like cut do you have like a little like cutoff valve or shut off valve where you're like, okay, enough in this panel. I don't want there to be too much going on here because I got to get them to this point, right? I got to lead the reader to this point. So do you go through a lot of struggle in that, or does it just come like all in one shot?
Not necessarily. I would say that's when my brother comes in because, like I said before, my brother is more the comic guy than I am. I'm more of an animated guy. I like animation stories because that's what I wanted to go straight for that. But we realized that early that was not in the cards. So that's where he comes in handy and tells me, all right, well, this is enough here. Let's go to the next page, and then that's what we do. We talk about it, and I always listen to him more, because he's the comic guy, he would know. And so, all of the credit when it comes to how the panels are really structured is a great homage to him,
That's cool to have that kind of support system. And it sounds like you have a lot of, as you put it, to the players in play. You have your employees, your cast of characters that can help with each piece of it. What do you see? How far ahead are you in your mind in the story? Because again, Salvation is just starting out, so we're kind of we're just starting there.
Mm-hmm.
But really, in your big world view, how far ahead are you? Are you seeing issue 100 yet in your mind?
Prequel. In my head, I'm already on the prequel. Because, like I said, in the beginning of the issue 1, it's not a straightforward story. I know I keep saying it, but it really isn't. Because even in the beginning, it just talks about the things that his mother goes through, but it doesn't really dive into it. It talks about why. It doesn't talk about why they're there. Because, like I said, there are 2 worlds that it reside in that world. There's the world that we know in everyday, lives, but then there's also the world where vampires, witches, and werewolves truly do exist. And it's an invisible line. So it's really being explained in issue 2. But the best way I can explain it is, say you 2 guys, you guys have been friends for a long time, but one of you have a secret. So one day you tell him, like, hey, I'm a werewolf, right? And he's like, no, you're not. So he can't, he's not going to believe you until you actually show him. Because there's actually this these powerful witches actually put a curse on the whole world. So the only way that you can actually see the true world is if somebody from that world reveals it to you. So if I turn right now, or you turn into a werewolf and he sees it, then that spell is broken.
Interesting.
So
because that was going to be the question, because you talk about that thin line. I wasn't sure if I should ask, because I didn't want to give too much away of the story, of course, because spoiler alert, right? But that is that real to mystical world, right? There's always that. What's the I wouldn't want to call it trope exactly, but that kind of that piece that makes that the differential. How do you hide it? How do you hide that kind of world from someone, especially when you want that to be your world? Are you then, so you talk 3 types of beings that will exist. Are you planning on introducing more types of beings than what you've already mentioned? You don't have to give too many spoilers away here, but is that something you want to expand on the characters in that setting, or is it just going to kind of stick with what you got and just dive deeper?
No, I'm definitely going to stick with what I have, because I wanted to really have the focus as the werewolves as the main focus. So in the prequel, it's explained what happened to the werewolf. I mean, the vampires. The vampires pretty much lose a big battle and they get wiped out. It's not really a spoiler, because that's going to actually be told in the 3rd issue. So it's not really that much of a spoiler.
Not that much.
Not really, just a little bit maybe. And so, that was something that I kind of, like I said, I just wanted to have the main focus as the werewolf stories or lichens. And that's pretty much what happens in the prequel. It brings back all of the other supernatural beings and explains why they're not involved now.
Right.
But there's different, classifications for the werewolves too. There's not just everybody can turn into whatever. There's something called the legacy line, which is the main criteria of what not criteria, but I guess you could say structure, I guess.
Okay.
Of
who kind of a structure of the world. So if you're this type of being, here's how you fit in. If you're a witch or whatever it is, here's how you fit in, and just kind of the relationships amongst the types of beings, or is also like maybe a hierarchy
Yeah, I would say more of a hierarchy.
Okay.
So basically, if you're part of a legacy line, you're more of a pure blood. Pure
blood, right.
So
everybody in your lineage, that kind of falls into some of the stories we hear about vampires mostly. You hear that a lot in vampire stories more than others, where your grandfather and your father and your going back were all this. They didn't. I mean, hell, to steal from the Harry Potter world to a certain extent, right? I mean, pureblood versus Muggle, Muggle family members being blended in, and you don't want to do that.
Why do you have to go to Harry Potter? You could have gone to Blade.
Blade, okay.
A much cooler reference, right?
Yeah.
But it's the idea of a pure line versus. I mean, they did it in what's her name's vampire stories too. They did that kind of the Underworld. Yeah. They did that too. So they did, So there's a whole bunch of just. It's a matter of. Okay, so here's where it comes. How much of that legacy line and the feeling of the comic really kind of touches on the urban, as you put it, the urban concerns, the urban issues. Is that kind of a backdrop to the overarching story, or is that just it's there, we get it, but that's not the point here?
Yeah, that's pretty. It's not that type of story. It's
Okay.
just I just wanted to do it in an urban kind of more current environment, opposed to doing something either in the past where they're just more regal, or in the woods where they're not being seen. That's kind of the thing that kind of changes the world between it, because the world that they reside in is still part of the world that they knew before. It's just everybody that they see doesn't know that they're werewolves.
Right.
You know, because they haven't had that spell broken yet.
Which is,
but they're not there. But they don't. But that's the thing. When the Vash family comes into that world that they're in now, they don't want to necessarily change everything. But because they were on the run, and when they got into that world, they're still being chased after by their grandfather, and the grandfather kind of has to makes them make that decision, either to do we tell everybody and have them help us, or do we just go alone and try to see if we can fight the grandfather? Because the grandfather is basically like the ruler of everything. He has his hand in everything, whether it be illegal or legal.
Wow.
And, so he's like truly powerful. He's basically like sort of like a ruler of the world.
Right. Now that kind of brings a good point. Now there are obviously then villains, quote unquote, right? Because it's not a classic story, but it is a classic story in some respects. Your villains are you going to have villains on both sides of the fence, if you will, of both sides of that world and our world? Are you going to have, humans that don't know anything about the other world that are bad guys, as well as, grandfather who's definitely a bad guy and ruler on that? Are you going to have both sides of that coin, or is it really going to be just that?
Yeah, because I would say it's a little bit of both, because that's what, to go back with the legacy line, there's the legacy line, and then there's half-breeds, and then there's underlings. The underlings are basically the ones that are humans, but they still side with the grandfather Lucius, and they accept that he is the all-powerful one, and you can't do anything, but I want to join him. I don't care. I don't want to die, so I'm going to join him.
Gotcha.
Then there's the half-breeds, they have a little bit of blood of Lycan blood within them, so they can turn on a full moon. But if you have a legacy line, you can turn at any point.
Interesting. Okay.
Right.
That definitely leads to a lot of possible stories.
Then there is a character that is revealed in issue 2, who is a part of the Vash family, who has a special way of turning, I guess you could say. She is a female. Her name is Vivian. Nice. She is the sister of Diana. But the way how she turns is very unique. It's only once in a lifetime type of change. You'll see that when you get into issue 2.
Yeah. And I will say, considering all the troubles that the comic book industry has right now, just supply, just getting things out there, publishing, you guys seem to be doing pretty well on that front, getting issues ready, getting issues out there, getting them to the people, in people's hands. I know it's been an ongoing struggle for a lot of, you guys have been doing this for what, a couple of years, right? It seems like.
We started in 2017, and when we first did the story, we realized there was a lot of things that we had to come back and redo, So when we did that, we decided to just completely redo everything: the logo, the story, the artwork in some forms, the lettering, everything. And so, pretty much the beginning of this year is how we kind of really had our restart button. Unfortunately, this was a bad time to do the restart, because this is the same time when the coronavirus hit. But with me, I just wanted to figure out what was another way for us to really get our names out there. And I think making our website really helped a lot, because it also enables us to make more merchandise. And for people that aren't really fans of comics, they can still go there and they can purchase a T-shirt or get a Magic cup, something to help support, and that is always appreciated. But the thing that we're going to really try to get done is our Kickstarter, because we don't have the paperbacks for our comics yet.
Oh, okay.
that is one thing that we know for everybody that are comic book fans always want to have it in their hand. And we want to get that to people as soon as possible. So what we're trying to do now is we want to finish Salvation issue 1. And then when that's done, then we're going to get our Kickstarter for all of our comics that will be available. We're going to have a merchandise. We're going to have a whole bunch of things prepared for everybody. So look out for that. Hopefully we can get it before the Christmas time.
Yes,
but,
fingers
that might
crossed.
be a good. Yeah, that might be a good idea to have it during Christmas too. But if not, we'll definitely keep everybody informed. The best way to just always be on top of things is just simply to subscribe to our website, and you'll always be notified for anything that we have coming up, whether it be the comics that we're going to be coming out with, because we do have a few more future projects that we're going to be revealing soon, or whether it be a review for a video game or a movie, or just to talk about our Kickstarter that we have coming up.
Yeah, and so your reviews, are those just written reviews at this point, or are you doing audio reviews?
Right now they're just written reviews.
Okay.
I do want to get into maybe doing video or audio, because I feel that that might be a little easier accessible when you're anywhere or out on the go. You can simply just push play and listen to it while you're working out or whatnot. So that's what the next thing that we're going to be doing. But I want to make sure that because it's really just me doing the reviews, so I want to make sure that I can get maybe 2 or 3 more people to do them with me, so it can be more of a consistent thing. It's not just out of the blue with here's a review,
Yeah.
I want it to be more of a professional and consistent thing. So that's one of the things that I'm looking forward to doing in the next couple of months.
That's very cool. We lost audio on you there, Ernie.
Yeah.
We lost your audio completely. Oh, wait.
My bad, guys.
There we go.
How about now? Is it better?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Sorry about that, guys.
Not now that you're not on mute.
Sorry about that. Everybody likes to be like their own trailblazer. Wanting to do new things. But who can you cite as like some of your influences? Whether it be like whoever's doing it now digitally, like either pop culture, or like maybe somebody else that's done it before, like maybe somebody traditionally in the comic book world, or even an author. Where do you get like some other type of inspiration from?
I get inspiration by just looking at so many other indie companies that are doing very well. I look at companies like Advent Comics. They've been making comics for I think 10, 20 years now. Mm-hmm. And they have so many titles. Every time when I go on Facebook or Instagram, I see another cool comic that they have coming out with, or new companies like Concrete Comics. They're doing really well. CNS Comics. There's so many, that I've been seeing, and I'm just like learning, but also inspired by them at the same time, and just like, okay, I see that they're doing very well. But I also want to make sure that, I'm not following exactly what they're doing. I want to make my own style, my own thing, different from what they're doing, but still very inspired by all of them.
Which is kind of an interesting thing about your community, this specific community of independent comic book creators in the community, these Kickstart companies, for lack of a better term for it. But this group is so very I would say close knit, but very supportive of each other. It's really, really about the art. It's about the story. It's about the crafting, which is, I find, very refreshing as compared to a lot of other industries where it's just not that way. It's like, fighting of the fittest. But there's a lot of, because we've talked to a few independent comic book guys over the past couple of years, have young, issue 1 coming out, issue 0, so forth. And, we used to go to the cons and same thing, but you talk to them about it, and they always mention 3 or 4 other guys. I was like, yeah, I love what I'm doing. This is fantastic. But those guys and this guy and so forth, these are also really great comics, and they're always promoting each other, which is such a really cool environment. Is that something that you feel, being in the position, that you feel like, if the time came you talk to them, that they'd be helpful to you as you promote them, that they would promote, and they kind of work with each other? Do you feel that communal sense yourself?
Absolutely, because when I started to like I said, when I restarted the company, I reached out to a few people. Some people reached out to me, and I feel a little bad because at the time I was so busy doing so many things, so I wasn't really able to conversate with some people at certain times. But at this point now, I'm always talking to someone about something and just being a helping hand if they need it, or just helping when just giving a little bit of guidance on my opinions on what I see. So yeah, even when we go to conventions, I've gone to a few conventions over the years so far, and I remember going to my first one, and everybody was just so welcoming. It made me feel really, really good and confident because I was so nervous. I didn't know what to expect. I was like, oh man, it's gonna be a comic book company right next to me. I hope they're not gonna get mad because I'm taking too much of their space, or just wherever it might have been. But everybody was like, hey man, how you doing? Hey, you need help with anything? And I was just like, yeah, I would appreciate it. So it made me feel very welcoming, and I think that goes with everybody. Everybody is even if it's someone new or somebody that's been in the game for a long time, everybody is always trying to help each other and make sure that they're succeeding, and that's great. I think that's what it should be in any format, whether it be comics, animation, or any forms of entertainment. I think the more we could just do as together for everybody to succeed and eat, then the more positive we'll have.
Yeah, it's definitely a great community. So you said to subscribe and to definitely go to your website. So let's give you some mini promotion time. I saw some of your swag. I know you're wearing one of your shirts right now.
Yeah, I have a few actually right here if you guys want to see.
Yes, please, if you would, because I know there's some really cool things you guys have.
So here you see the Nightfall the original Nightfall cover for issue 1.
Yes, it's beautiful. Now you did that, colors. Right? You did that whole thing yourself.
All of our shirts come in different colors.
Okay.
So then we have the Salvation here, which is the Fight for Salvation T-shirt. This here is in the gray, but it comes in all colors, as I said.
We might need to get rid of your background for a hot minute because I think the background is actually taking over the T-shirt.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Oh man. Okay, let's try this again.
Oh, nope. Still see. Now I see the background completely, but not the shirt. It's really cutting it out.
Yeah, now I see it too.
Get your full logo. Gotta love merchandise when it doesn't. Come on, Gray. You can do it.
Not coming.
It's not.
I don't know. I think it's the background.
It is literally the background color. This is what it's great.
Well, at least they know what website to go to.
Yes, please go to the website. I will say this: it is a very well put together website, and it does actually show the merchandise better than what it does.
Background. Just kill that promotion right
But you will have full access to the website. You'll have access to all the merchandise, and the comics. Now all the comics are in digital form right now, correct?
Yes.
But you are working that Kickstarter. So where do they go to support you? Just go to the website and everything is linked out there?
Right, yeah. All of our links to all of our social sites are there at the top and the bottom, where you go to subscribe. So it's go a little lower and it's right there. Our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, everything.
Well, it's so cool, and I think I think you had something special for people that are listening today, perhaps.
Yes, we do. We have a special promotion or coupon for you guys. So if you type in 2nerds 20, you get 20% off of everything in the store.
We are actually a coupon. I can't even right now. That is gold. We are a coupon. I can't believe it.
We finally made it. We made it.
We made it. We're big time. This has been amazing, and I can't wait to see. We're definitely subscribing to your website ourselves so we can make sure we get these physical copies. Because, again, I'll tell you, I think it's the second issue is just the face shot with the two different color eyes.
Oh, that's Salvation, yes.
That's Salvation. Love it. I mean, it's just beautiful artwork and it's really beautiful colors. So I love what I've seen so far. Some really interesting storylines, and I can't wait for the animated movie to come out. I know it's coming. I can feel it. I can feel this coming, man.
That's what we're gonna do when it comes to the animation story. That's when we're gonna really kind of dive into our superhero universe.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think it's some great stuff. And Twilighters, I hope you're listening. This is what real werewolves are about. For goodness sake. So,
I would like to say thank you for the inspiration. Honestly, I would say that. Thank you for.
Hey, it can come from something that you don't like, and you're like, I can do better.
Right.
I can make that right. I can fix that. Well, Dwayne, it has been a real delight having you on our show today. For those of you listening or watching, in below, you will see the clickable link right to the website. Subscribe to it. You'll see the link to the merchandise. You'll see the link to the Kickstarter and all the latest news, and see the beautiful artwork. I mean, these are reasonable. These are really. I mean, your prices are really good for what they are. I mean, it's beautiful work for the price you guys are charging for everything. It's like, this is reasonable. I could do this. This is for everybody. And this isn't everybody.
20% off. So
and then there's that. You get a 2 Nerds coupon. So we really appreciate your time with us today and being on with us for as long as you've been, because good Lord, it's been a long time. But we can't wait to see what you guys are going to do next. And we wish you all the best with this, because we love a good comic, and we really feel you got a solid thing going here.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. So visit the website, visit us. We will be promoting this across our platforms: YouTube, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, Tumblr, the good Tumblr, and of course, for those of the 2 or 3 of you that follow us on Nebo, yes, we're still on there. So follow us there as well, and you can join me and my son on Snapchat, and that's always fun. He just makes fun of my stuff most of the time, sadly. So there's that. But we have a great plethora of stuff, and we'll be doing promoting the heck out of this. So thank you again, Dwayne, for coming on. Ernie, if you would please, because all comics deserve a great ending.
Peace out.
Peace out, everybody. We'll talk to you guys next time.
And that's another episode of 2 Nerds and a Joke. Follow Robert and Ernie on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and subscribe to their YouTube channel.